Hello, everybody. This is Joseph P. Farrell with news and views from the Nefarium on February 13th, 2020. And you'll never guess what the subject of today's news and views is. I'm doing this early because I'm expecting some bad weather perhaps tomorrow that might prohibit me from doing it. So I decided to do it early rather than chance the weather messing up my news and views, because you can tell from the hat that the topic of the day is Germany. This last week, there has been a political earthquake in Germany, and I couldn't resist getting out my my pickle halba. It's a cheap plastic Halloween knockoff. But anyway, this last week in Germany has been a political earthquake because Madam Merkel, as we like to call her here, is really in a bit of a political hotspot. And it couldn't happen to a more deserving lady, let me tell you. But anyway, there's 3 articles I want to talk about, and I will link them all when we put the YouTube feed up. This is a story that really has to be seen to be believed. We all know that Germany, like many other countries in the European non-union, is being flooded out by migrants, and the Germans are, understandably a little upset about, losing their national culture, just like the French are, just like the Hungarians are, like the Dutch are. So anyway, Merkel has jammed this down everybody's throat in the European Union. So anyway, last February 6th, and I'm going to be reading an article from RT. Last February 6th, there were state elections in the German state of Thuringia, or Thüringen in German, and the results were not what anybody expected. Think of this as kind of a state version of Boris Johnson or Donald Trump, okay? So February 6th, RT comes out with this article, and I want you to listen carefully because this summarizes the pickle, as in halba, okay? RT says, and this article is titled PM, Prime Minister of Germany's Thuringia resigns, calls for dissolution of state parliament after scandalous vote brought him to power. And RT says this: a vote for Thuringia's new prime minister in the regional legislature sent shockwaves across Germany, as an unlikely candidate was elected through an alliance of the conservative Christian Democrats, that's Angela Merkel's party, the CDU, and anti-establishment forces from Alternative for Germany, the Alternative for Deutschland party, or AfD, something widely considered taboo. Now, that's true, because the CDU and the SDP, the Social Democrats, and Die Linke, other parties in Germany, have had this unwritten rule that no coalition will be formed with the AfD party, okay? So we'll continue. Last October's polls left Thuringia in a sort of limbo, since the previous broad left-wing ruling coalition lost majority in the legislature, while the left party, Die Linke, still emerged as the strongest force in the parliament. The expectations were that the former premier, Bodo Ramelow, who still formally holds the strongest mandate, would then be re-elected to form a minority government. Yet, it was Thomas Kemmerich from the Liberal Free Democrats, who holds just 5 seats in the local parliament, who surprisingly came out the winner of Wednesday's vote and immediately assumed his mandate. The key to his success was a strikingly unanimous vote by the Christian Democrats in that state. listen carefully, a surprisingly, strikingly unanimous vote by the Christian Democrats and the AfD, the third and second largest factions in the parliament, respectively. Now, listen to that again. The CDU is the third largest faction in the Thuringian parliament, and Alternative for Deutschland is the second largest faction, and they voted unanimously, okay, to put Kemmerich in as the premier. So this gives you a measure of how low the fortunes of the CDU under Angela Merkel have fallen. All right, continuing. In the face of a massive scandal, the newly elected regional prime minister announced that he and his faction would call for new elections while he himself will step down. In other words, we don't like the results of this one, so we're going to do it. We're going to have a do-over. Okay. You got to love this. Anyway, that's article number 1. So we're going to have a do-over. Now, article number 2 is from the German agency DPA, Deutsche Presseagentur, and their international service. This came out on February 10th, so it's 4 days later. Now, let me set the context for this one. You'll remember that Chancellor Merkel, after the last German federal elections, decided and announced that this would be her last term as chancellor, and she turned over leadership of the CDU party to let's see here, Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer, or AKK as she's known in German. Even the Germans don't want to try and pronounce that name all the time. So this is from the DPA article, February 10th. And again, it's another wow. Okay. The leader of Germany's governing Christian Democrats, Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer, will not run to succeed Chancellor Angela Merkel in a surprise announcement that scraps plans for a smooth handover of power after Merkel finishes her current term. Now, you remember, Merkel kind of handpicked this lady to replace her. A scandal involving the far right in the state of Thuringia appeared to be the last straw for Karrenbauer, who told the party leadership in Berlin that she would also quit as CDU leader, a party spokesman said on Monday. The 57-year-old, who has progressed from local politics in the small southern state of Saarland to take on a leading role at a national level, had been tipped for the top job of chancellor even before she was elected CDU leader in 2018 as part of Merkel's plan to gradually bow out of German politics. The next elections are expected in 2021. If things keep going like this, you can expect the elections to happen a little earlier than that. Now, I want to skip to the end of this article. It says the crisis in Thuringia, which has been without a state government since October, and I just have to wonder. I'd like to call up, if I knew anybody in Thuringia, I'd like to call them up and say, "Hey, are you guys missing your state government at all?" And if the answer is no, well, then why bother? Anyway, Thuringia, which has been without a state government since October, appears to have finally toppled her. Following criticism that she showed weak leadership in responding to the issue. Now, wait a minute here. If you have all of the state CDU delegates voting with the AfD, then maybe the CDU delegates are losing confidence in their leadership, be it Angela Merkel or AKK. Okay, maybe just a possibility here, folks. Anyway, Kramp-Karrenbauer has also come under pressure over her refusal to work with both the far-right Alternative for Germany and the hard-left Die Linke, which won the Thuringia vote but has struggled to form a coalition. Well, yeah, because the CDU threw their lot in with the AfD rather than Die Linke. Okay, so now Angela Merkel is on her way out. The CDU does not have a party leader, so the field's open, guys. This is an earthquake. Now, The final article, also from RT, just yesterday. Okay, this article's titled German AFD. Listen carefully, folks. This is it's like Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler are all of a sudden over in Germany. I love this. German AFD vows to take Merkel to court over abuse of office. And I'm going to read a few paragraphs here because, again, this has to be heard to be believed. Alternative for Germany, or the AFD, or Alternative for Deutschland party, plans to sue Chancellor Angela Merkel herself over abuse of office. The party, now I don't know anything about German law. I don't know what this means. I don't know if they have a similar thing to impeachment in their Grundgesetz or not. I simply don't know. But anyway, they're going to sue. The party claims that she coerced a state prime minister, that would be Kemmerich, who was just elected by the CDU and the AFD, into resigning after he was elected in a scandalous vote. The chancellor was among those who sharply criticized the outcome of the regional parliament's vote. Against recommendation from Superior Party members of the state parliament from her Christian Democratic Union joined forces with the AFD, a move viewed as a taboo breaker, to support Thomas Kemmerich from the Free Liberal Democrat Party. Björn Hecke, the head of the AFD regional office in Thuringia, meanwhile plans to file his own lawsuit against Merkel over coercion as well. In other words, what they're implying is Merkel put pressure on Kemmerich to resign. That's serious. The fact that the chancellor, and this is Hecke himself here, the fact that the chancellor has forced an elected prime minister from another party to resign is unacceptable, unquote, he said in a Twitter post as he announced his plans. Critics, however, allege the move is more likely a PR stunt. Merkel called Kemmerich's election, quote, unforgivable, unquote, and said its results, quote, must be reversed, unquote. Skipping a little bit, the vote broke a long-standing unwritten taboo for major German parties on aligning with the right-wing AFD. The scandal also dealt another blow to Merkel's party, further straining its relation with their coalition partners, the Social Democrats, and eventually leading to the resignation of the current party leader and Merkel's would-be successor, Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer. So, in other words, her coalition partners are now upset with her and with this. Now, folks, I don't know how true or not this is in terms of the AFD and its lawsuit. Maybe they know something behind the scenes that Merkel indeed did pressure this state prime minister to resign, even though his coalition won a majority of the seats in the state parliament. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if it's a stunt, as the AFD opponents say. But what is clear here is huge. Merkel and the CDU leadership are losing their support among the people. They are kind of rudderless now because people are opposed to her policies, and you can't blame them. And this bodes very, very ill for Germany being kind of the locomotive or leader of Europe. In fact, I would argue that these kinds of things have already put France in the driver's seat. And as we know from the Yellow Vest protests in France, Macron is not doing very well either. In other words, this is weakening the EU tremendously right at the time that the Brexit people have a much more firm grip on power after the recent general elections in the United Kingdom with Prime Minister Boris Johnson. So this is not good news. In other words, what I'm arguing here is this is going to create a ripple effect across Europe, from the state level in Germany up to the federal level in Germany, and then throughout the European Union, because it's weakening one of the two major European powers right at the time that the EU needs to present a strong face. And it's not going to come out of France either. The Macron government, I don't think is long for the world. In other words, I don't think he'll be returned to office. You might find a coalition. I'm against that by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going to give fuel to the fire. And we're going to have to see now if Merkel can survive whatever lawsuit may take place. The German courts may throw it out. I don't know. Again, I don't know anything about German law. But these are very serious charges that they are making against Merkel, that they plan to sue over coercion against a legitimate outcome, as far as I can tell, to an election. Sound familiar, folks? So anyway, that's my news and views. You got to laugh at the parallels going on seemingly everywhere in the world, where the globalists in power, when they don't like election results, well, we'll just throw them out and have a do-over until we get the outcome that we want. In the chat room, John Schrader says musical chairs in German politics is becoming a very serious matter. Yeah, I seem to remember a period in German history where we had a similar thing with all of these weak governments coming and going, and then we ended up with an idiot in charge of the country. But anyway, that's it for my news and views. This is one to watch. Oh, by the way, a little announcement. Once again, the new McCarthy book is on Lulu, and tomorrow we do not have a vid chat. That will be a week from tomorrow. So those of you who've been sending me questions and comments, just remember that the vid chat is for next week. Anyway, mein Hut hat drei Ecken. Yeah. I remember that song. Actually, I was taught that song by one of my German teachers in school. But anyway, that's it, folks. Watch Germany. And as I've always said, watch Italy, watch Spain. It's going to be an interesting year. All right, that's it. I'm out of here. I'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye, and God bless.